What's going on, guys? It's Brendan from Modern to Me, and today we're going to be talking about constructors and their relation to inheritance. So when it comes to constructors and inheritance, the rules get a little bit not fuzzy, but they're a little more complicated. They're a little more intricate. So make sure you are wide awake, ready to go, so you can be focused for this tutorial to know what's going on with these. Okay, so let's take a look at our parent class bird that we've kind of gotten started. So we have our three instance variables, and right now I just have an empty constructor called bird. So let's say that we call this constructor, let's just have it set age is equal to 0, and we can just set color equal to red, and we'll set male equal to true. So we'll just have some default values for this constructor. Now, I don't quite remember if I've covered this in past tutorials, but when you're making a class, you can have multiple constructors. So we can have another constructor, but this one will have some parameters. We'll have int age, string color, can you guess it? Boolean male, there you go. So basically, if you have two constructors, you're probably wondering, well, when I create the object, like two methods with the same name, won't that kind of freak the compiler out? Well, if you have them with different parameters, you can actually make this compatible. So I'll show you what I mean in a sec. So we can set this dot age equal to age, remember the this keyword, and we'll set this dot color equal to color, and we'll set, you got it, this dot male equal to male. Nothing tricky. So what we can do is we can create a bird class, or not a bird instance, and let's just call this bird default. And we are going to set this equal to, let's go, we can just go new bird, we have to go new bird. And so we have created this object, and now let's create another bird object. And we'll name this bird custom, and we'll set this equal to new bird. But instead of using that blank constructor, we'll use the one with the parameters. So we'll set the age equal to we can go 2. We will set its color equal to how about yellow, and we'll set male equal to false, so it'd be like a female. And so now this is how you utilize these two different constructors. As long as you're using the constructor you want with its compatible parameters, you are a-okay and good to go. These constructors will both work as long as you're using them correctly. If you want to create a default bird object, then use the one with no parameters. If you want to use the custom one, then you have to make sure that you type the parameters in the same order as the way you defined it. So as long as you're using a constructor that you actually defined yourself, you'll be good to go. It'll work just fine. So that's how we can use those two different objects. That's not really the tricky part yet, though. The tricky part is with this parrot class. So, because like I was talking about in last tutorial, I just went over all those different protected public and private keywords, and I said, well, everything public and private gets inherited, right? Well, you'll have all of these methods be inherited, but these constructors themselves are not actually inherited. Constructors are never inherited. That's very, very key. Just remember that. Constructors are never inherited. Constructors are never inherited. Drill that into your brain. Make sure you know that. But let's say that you actually do want to utilize this constructor that you used in bird. Is this code lost? Can you not actually access this constructor that you typed in bird? Well, this is where the super keyword comes in. I love that keyword so much. It makes me feel like a superhero because I'm typing super. Gosh, I have no friends. But anyways, what you do is you just type that, just kind of like a method itself, just type super, and that is going to call the other constructor. So if we were to make a parrot class, or a parrot object, I should say, we can go just parrot default equal to new parrot, and this will create a parrot instance with the same instance variables as the default one. So age is going to be equal to 0, color is going to be equal to red, and male will be true. And now we can also do the second constructor, public, not Publix, we're not a pharmacy, and just type the super keyword again, but instead of leaving it blank, you want to type in all your parameters. So actually what we need to do here is we need to type our, go int, I'm trying to remember the order, int age, string color, and then remember Boolean male. And so then in here you're just going to want to type age, color, and male. And so what's going to happen is it's going to call the bird constructor that has all of these values. So it's going to do the same thing that the custom bird class would do. So we can create a custom parrot custom, and just set it equal to new parrot, and it can have all these different values. We'll set this one equal to 5. I don't know if parrots live that long. Probably. They're troopers. Blue, and then false, and now we have a parrot with all of these cool little custom details. And so let's say we actually want to expand upon our parrot class, and we want to say it has a string called saying, what the parrots talk, right? So what do they always say? Well, you can add this onto our constructor here. You can say string saying, and we can still have part of our constructor here. We can say this dot saying is equal to saying. And so here, what's going to happen is it's going to still call this bird constructor. It'll go and it'll set all of your values that you typed. So these three will still get set the way we defined before, but instead of having to type it again, we just type the super, and that's a lot more convenient. But then we can also keep going, and we can do our own little thing with our new class, because if you're making all these subclasses that have the same exact constructor as the parent class, you're probably not being as productive in your code as you can if you're just having the same class over and over. That doesn't really make sense, right? So we can expand upon our constructors, but what has to happen is if we want to use this super constructor, it has to be the first thing that you type. So you can't go like you can't have like this dot saying and then have the super dot here, like down here, and then have more like code down here. You can't do that. The super constructor has to come first. That always has to be there. Okay, so that's just another tricky rule. There's a lot of small tricky rules. If you're not doing it right, you'll most likely, thankfully, get a compiler error, so you'll be able to solve it before the code starts going haywire, but it's still nice to get it right on the first try. So this super keyword isn't limited to just these constructors. You can also do it with inherited methods. So let's make a method to print out all of these different instance variables that we've created. So we'll go public void print me, and we don't need any parameters because the instance variables are stored within the class, and so we'll have this class just print out all of these different variables. So we can have it print out age, we can have it print out color, and we'll have it also, we'll get fancy, system.out.printf, and we'll have it say is male, and then bada boom, bada bing. I'm getting there. There we go. Kind of, almost. Getting there. There we go. Okay, so now we have this nice little print me class, and we can go in here. Might as well work with this, and we'll go bird default dot print me and bird custom print me, so we'll be able to see all of their instance variables. Now what we can do, we have to update our constructor here. Remember, I changed this constructor to have that little instance variable called saying, what the parrot says. So we'll just say, what do we want to say? Coding rocks my socks. There we go. Sounds cool. Oh my gosh. Coding's rock. Yeah, coding is rocking my socks. Okay, so we can do the same thing like I was saying with other methods besides constructors. So if I want to have another method, we can type print me, and now this method already exists, right? So I'm like kind of redefining a method here. So once I define this method, if I just start going like, if I start typing my own thing, like just say system.out.println, I'll print out saying. We'll go that. Now we can go in here and have this for the parrots as well. Default.print me. Now we can see, oops, custom. Let's kind of check out what this code does. So we get, oops, I messed up, didn't I? So I kind of forgot a crucial part in the code here. Kind of want to go, you can go %b and then new line. Remember in printf, I tried getting fancy, you have to make sure that you type this %, otherwise this variable will never show up. So that's great. So let's try running this again, now that we fixed that. And we see 0 red, Ismail, true, 2 yellow, Ismail, false, null, because we don't have anything defined for the saying when we call the default constructor. So actually let's fix that. In case I never taught that, null just essentially means undefined. It means empty. It's kind of what the word null means. It means like non-existent. So let's set saying equal to just like a blunt, like default. Make sure you know that you didn't set that right. So now if we run this, we'll see that the default shows up. Oh man, lots of errors. See, coding's just a fun game of finding where you freaking screwed up. Okay. 0 red, true, 2 yada yada yada, coding rocks my socks, we know it. Okay. So, but when we're printing out the parent characteristics, we're seeing we only are getting these sayings because we overrided this print me method. So while it is inherited, if I were to comment this out, we'd see that we get the I'll just show you real quick. Since I didn't redefine it, I'll get it to print out my old the old method. It'll use the old method and I'll print out all the instance variables like the other method. But once I redefine it, it's not going to print these out. It's going to just call this new method, which is the saying. But if I want to call the old method and I want to use my own new little addition, what you can do is you just type super again, but instead of just doing, you know, like this and whatever, this is still going to call the constructor if you just type super. So you're going to have to type super.printme. Now this will call the super class is printme method. So this will call what we want. So if we just have this super.printme and we run this again, hang on, this space is really bothering me. I need to add a space right there. Perfect. If we run this again, we get the normal. This is for our default bird, our custom bird, our default parrot, and our custom parrot. So we're getting pretty complicated codes here. We got a pretty complicated inheritance and referencing our superclass going on. So I feel like this tutorial really exemplifies how powerful inheritance is. We have essentially a totally new class, really. I mean, we're reusing a lot of the code from the bird class, but we're representing a totally different concept in nature with only 20 lines of code opposed to what would probably be like 60 if we just made an entirely new class. So we're being really efficient here. And so this super keyword is crucial to your understanding. So if there's something you don't understand or if you have any questions, please comment, email me, do whatever you gotta do to learn. I'll always be here to help you guys, and I really wanna make sure you understand what you're doing. So that is kind of the gist of the super keyword. I really hope that makes sense. I'm going to be doing an exercise next tutorial, so I'm going to give you guys a little challenge, and if you don't get it, you'll be able to see my solution. So just keep going along, guys. Keep plugging it in. I promise you'll get there. I'll see you guys later.